Most men walk through life missing subtle signals that women send every day. For older men, dating can feel even more confusing, especially when trying to read younger women. But one sign stands out more than any other: eye contact. And if a woman stares at you, there's a lot more going on in her mind than you might think. This is the story of David Monroe, a 52-year-old successful but lonely real estate developer in Austin, Texas, who stumbled into a lesson that would forever change the way he understood women, especially the kind who weren't even on his radar at first. David had been divorced for 3 years. He had 2 grown children and a big, modern condo overlooking Lady Bird Lake. His life was comfortable, maybe too comfortable. His dating life, however, was dry, mostly awkward setups or women who either reminded him too much of his ex-wife or felt like a forced fit. That changed one evening at a local upscale coffee shop called Bean and Barrel. David wasn't looking to meet anyone that night. He was reviewing architectural plans for a new property development, sipping a double espresso when he felt it. Eyes on him. Not just a glance, but a gaze that lingered. He looked up and locked eyes with her. She was seated at the bar across the room, dark-haired, mid-30s, classy and confident. She didn't smile right away, but she didn't look away either. When he looked back down at his papers, he expected the moment to pass. But a few minutes later, the stare returned. This time, her lips curled slightly in a smirk. It wasn't flirtatious in the typical way, it was curious, almost analytical. David began to wonder, what is she thinking? After finishing his coffee, he started to pack up when she stood, walked toward him confidently, and said, "Excuse me, are you in architecture?" Her voice was warm, curious, not pushy. David smiled. "Close. Real estate development." "I thought so," she replied. "I noticed your blueprints. I'm an interior designer. I'm Rachel." And that was it. The spark ignited not because David made a bold move, but because he noticed something many men miss. Prolonged eye contact isn't random. It's intentional. Over the next several weeks, David and Rachel's connection grew. Through their dynamic, he learned subtle truths that would later become the foundation for a dating philosophy he began to share with other men in his age group. Not from a place of pickup artistry, but from emotional intelligence and understanding. David discovered that when a woman stares at a man, especially one older than her, there are usually one of 5 things going through her mind. And he learned this by listening carefully to Rachel and later, other women he dated or connected with during that time. First, she might be curious about your confidence. David realized Rachel wasn't staring at his looks or his clothes. She was observing how he carried himself. Older men who remain calm, composed, and purposeful are magnetic without trying to be. Rachel admitted later, "You had this stillness that made me wonder what you were thinking. You didn't fidget. You didn't scroll your phone. It made you different." Second, she might be testing your awareness. Eye contact is often a woman's way of seeing if you're paying attention. If you return the gaze and hold it without being creepy, it shows presence. David responded to Rachel's look not by immediately rushing over, but by matching her gaze, acknowledging it with a smile, and letting her make the move. That made her feel like she was engaging with someone mature, not desperate. Third, a woman might stare because she's intrigued by something specific: your age, your energy, your demeanor. Rachel later shared that she had always been drawn to older men, but only those who didn't act like they were trying to be younger. There's something so refreshing about a man who owns his age. You weren't trying to impress anyone. That impressed me. Fourth, a stare can be an invitation. Not always romantic, but a green light nonetheless. When David and Rachel started spending more time together, she introduced him to her friend circle, many of whom were younger professionals. David noticed the same kind of subtle eye contact from other women, not because he was doing anything, but because he had begun to understand and project quiet confidence. Finally, and this is most important, when a woman stares, she's often assessing your emotional depth. In Rachel's case, she later confessed that what drew her in wasn't his appearance or career, it was the quiet sadness in his eyes. "You look like someone who had loved and lost. It made me want to know your story." That story came out slowly. Over wine, walks along the river, and quiet conversations. David spoke of his marriage, of the years spent building a life with someone who eventually drifted emotionally. He wasn't bitter, just honest. That honesty touched Rachel more than any flashy line ever could. As the months went on, their relationship deepened. David noticed something remarkable. When he stopped trying to date and started trying to connect, everything changed. And it all started with that first stare. He began mentoring a few younger men in his office and even older friends who were newly single. They were amazed by how simple shifts in energy changed their dating lives. One of David's closest friends, Greg, recently divorced and 50, was skeptical at first. "You're telling me a stare is enough to know a woman's interested?" David smiled. "Not always. But if she looks at you and doesn't look away, she's thinking something. Your job is to be aware enough to let her come to you emotionally." Greg tried it at a gallery event in downtown Austin. A woman across the room gave him the same kind of gaze Rachel had given David. Instead of approaching, he waited. Later, she struck up a conversation by complimenting the blazer he was wearing. That led to a first date and, eventually, a serious relationship. This wasn't magic. It was mindfulness. David's perspective gained traction on social media when a friend encouraged him to share his dating insights in short videos. His calm demeanor and honest storytelling resonated, especially with men over 40. One video titled, "If She Stares, She's Already Said Hello," went viral. Men began commenting, "Dude, I thought I was imagining it. Your story gave me the confidence to say hello back. I never understood eye contact until now." David kept the videos real, no gimmicks, no flashy edits. Just real talk. He talked about how women aren't looking for perfection, they're looking for authenticity. And when a woman stares, she's not always looking at your wallet or your jawline. She's wondering, who is this man really? Now, 2 years into their relationship, David and Rachel had become partners in business as well. They combined their talents, his real estate expertise and her interior design skills, and started working on boutique properties together. Their bond was built on mutual respect, curiosity, and emotional awareness. David often reflects on that first night, the moment he looked up and saw her watching him. At the time, he didn't realize how powerful that silent connection was. But now, he sees that her stare was more than a look. It was a signal, an invitation, and a challenge. For older men navigating today's dating world, David offers this advice. If a woman stares at you, don't ignore it. Don't overthink it. Don't panic. Pause. Acknowledge. And understand that in that simple moment, she may be saying the loudest unspoken thing. I see you. Now, will you see me too? Because in the